Thank you very much for honoring us by your presence. In 2003, President Vladimir Putin, here in Malaysia, suggested the involvement, a more active involvement of the Russian Federation with the Islamic world in a special OIC conference here. And since then, I think through the office of Rais of Tatarstan, we have seen numerous efforts to strengthen that sort of collaboration. So, may I express my profound gratitude personally to Rais, my dear brother, and fellow delegates for honoring us and hopefully, inshallah, fruitful deliberations. Of course, as in the initial remark by President Putin to us and followed by Rais, this is a very challenging circumstances we are facing. We are confident that through effective collaboration among nations, Muslim countries, and friendly other countries, we should forge a new understanding in alliance. That is why Malaysia opted to be part and parcel of the BRICS initiative. And again, thank you, Rais of Tatarstan, for hosting the conference, and we take great importance to this sort of collaboration to show that we can assert our rights independently in what we consider as a multipolarity environment. Now, Russia has a rich history, and the enduring engagement with the Islamic world is nothing new. There were difficulties, and I am a great admirer of Russian novels, as I've said in Vladivostok in front of the President. For example, Leo Tolstoy's Haji Murad shows his empathy, understanding, and remarkable appreciation of the sentiments expressed in Tatarstan. And that's when I learned the three Tatars, strong, tough, and is being able to withstand the pressures, the tortures, the others' calamities, and that reflects the sentiment, the aspirations of the people of Tatarstan in particular, and of course in the personality of the Rais, tough and effective. Now, but we still have problems. That's why this sort of engagement is important. We thought that with development, with progress, with knowledge, we'll have more wisdom. We have more tolerance between Muslim, of course in the Muslim world, between religious leaders of various denominations. And we believe this can happen. But this is not the case. This is a period of great tragedies befalling humanity at large, and in Muslims in particular. From Gaza, from parts of Europe, the rise of fascism, racism, the intolerance, the dehumanizing actions, atrocities perpetrated on people, not only in Palestine and Gaza in particular, but also in many parts of the world. Our duty is, of course, to promote this sort of new understanding of tolerance, of tasamuh, of rahmah and ihsan and humanity, because that's what Islam stands for. And it's important that we use these sort of conferences to reflect that sort of message. Malaysia is an independent country, have decided firmly now, more so, to maintain a very independent stance, fiercely independent. That's why we have chosen to interact both in the West and the East, and to remain consistent in our issues, on issues of humanity and justice. And this collaboration between Russia and the Muslim world, to me, is not merely political. It must be also firmly be based on economic collaboration, as BRICS initiative has shown, but also deeply cultural, because it is forged through centuries of interaction and exchange. But as I've said, the challenges are there and real. Islamophobia remains a persistent and pernicious issue, manifesting across continents and cultures. In Europe, for example, despite its progressive ideals of liberté, fraternité, égalité, slogan during the French Revolution, but in recent years have witnessed a troubling rise in targeted acts against Muslim communities. Mosques have been desecrated. Here in Malaysia, we have a small case of an attempt by some Muslim fanatics to desecrate a church. We were swift. The ulama, the political leaders are swift in condemning this, taking action against the perpetrators, because that is our Islamic belief and national ideology. More than 2 decades ago, we found a Hindu temple being desecrated. The moment we took over as the government in that particular state, we resolved to rebuild the temple out of our recognition that every single citizen has a right to practice their faith. What we are calling for is a consistent, coherent message by other countries. We want to have a showcase that we are tolerant. This is a Muslim majority country. Islam is the religion of the federation. We take all measures possible to make sure that Muslims adhere to their faith. Istajibu lillah walir rasul idha da'akum lima yuhyikum. But at the same time, we show extreme tolerance and patience and respect for the dignity of men and women of all faith. This is a message, I think it is relevant and pertinent, not only for the Muslim world, but for the international community. In North America, the shadow of global conflicts has intensified suspicion and mistrust towards Muslims. Hate crimes have surged in countries where there is so much sophistication, so much access to knowledge, but troubling link between international events and local prejudices. Social media, while a powerful connector, has often amplified Islamophobic sentiment. They have enabled the spread of false narratives at the speed of light. We have to deal with the issue of Islamophobia, including this conference. Towards inclusivity and understanding. Governments must introduce and enforce anti-discrimination laws. And civil society, religious leaders, media platforms have a role in challenging stereotypes and fostering dialogue. I have referred to and alluded to earlier on the issue of the need to forge better, effective economic collaboration, not only through BRICS, but through our interaction, our efforts, so that no society will be left behind. We have embarked on a robust ecosystem of Sharia-compliant institutions driving financial innovation in banks, in takaful. And I believe in the effort of the Rais and Russia to interact and to be able to introduce these sort of instruments, because with the strength, experience, and technology in Russia, you could probably assist, complement and assist, and even enhance the capacity, effectiveness of these economic institutions, Islamic economic institutions. Now, without emphasizing oil and gas, of course, the forte of the Rais. I'm not going to compete on that because that's spectacular in terms of their capability and their investment in that field. But I would touch also on the issue of agriculture. Russia, in the last few years, has made an unprecedented, remarkable progress in terms of becoming a leading grain producer and exporter, and assisting in the global food security challenges. And I think, Rais, we should then allow for this sort of engagement from Islamic da'wah to economic pursuit and strengthen food supply chains, because through that we will effectively fight hunger and poverty. There's no reason in the countries, in Muslim countries, to pride of ourselves about truth and justice and the value of Islam, at the same time having to grapple with basic problems of poverty, hunger, and endemic issues affecting housing and other health issues. Education and research, where Russia has a reputation for excellence in STEM, aligns naturally with the aspirations of many Muslim countries. So we in Malaysia in the last few years have embarked more aggressively into the Russian-Malaysian high-tech center and collaboration in all fields. And I believe this partnership should transcend other issues. I can't end my speech without referring to the issue of Palestine. It's a tragedy of the century. The genocide continues with impunity. This sign of barbarism in this period and age is sickening for us to observe and see on a daily basis children and women and their property plundered. I've said in Rio during the G20 summit, in the presence of the President of the United States and many European leaders too, that the United Nations was set up as a body of independent nations against colonialism. In Muslim countries, the fight against colonial masters were merely by the Muslim groups. The battle against imperialism is part and parcel of the Muslim struggle of the last century. But now the world seems to condone and accept colonialism. You colonize Palestine. You plundered their property. You squandered their wealth. And you dispossessed their land, property, and life. And the world seems to be silent and so the moral fabric of global community is gone. Why talk about morality? Why preach about democracy and human rights? I've taken a position refusing to listen to the hectoring and lectures about human rights and democracy by Western leaders. because clearly there is a disconnect, to use a polite term, hypocrisy, to use the right term. And may we seek Allah's help and blessing, and through our efforts of effective collaboration, to state our stand and preserve the right of others. Of course, concerning development in Syria, we are monitoring this on a daily basis. We call for a peaceful transition that respects Syria's various communities. Sectarian divides must be rejected, and unity must be embraced as a guiding principle for rebuilding the nation. And we have a duty to support an independent and united Syria. Rais, ladies and gentlemen, the journey towards a more equitable and multipolar world demands conviction and unity. This meeting is not merely an opportunity for dialogue, but a call to action. It is an opportunity to fulfill our amanah. Let us deepen our partnership, transform our discussions into meaningful actions, and reaffirm our commitment to adl, peace, and ihsan. I thank also the International Islamic University Malaysia for leading this effort. It is a definitive act of realizing iaitu's vision for the betterment of the Ummah. Thank you again for your participation and for the initiative taken by the Rais and the Russian Federation. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.